A 4-apartment house fire in Troy has left several people without a place to live this morning.
Fire crews tell us it happened just before midnight at 92 6th Avenue.
And that's where we find Carrie Beal this morning. So, Carrie, I know now that we can see a little bit more because the sun is up. Can you describe the damage that was done with this?
Julia, I've been showing the front of the house all morning, and that looks pretty normal. But if you take a look behind me, here's a look at the back of the house. You can see there the porch is in complete ruins. It's charred, it's black, and we also have some video of what this looked like earlier this morning and overnight. Crews were able to put out the fire in just about an hour. As far as the house itself, fire crews say it's not livable right now. So the families that lived inside are without a home at the moment. Red Cross says they are providing housing for 4 adults who lived inside the building and provided emotional support for a child and 2 additional adults. Fire crews say a few animals are still missing from the home, and 1 woman was hospitalized for smoke inhalation. Everyone else made it out safely, and no firefighters were injured.
The report came in that there was people trapped in the building, but that proved to be false. When we arrived on the scene, everyone had self-extricated. It's under investigation at this point. We don't know what cause.
None of the houses surrounding this one that burned were touched at all by the fire, so fire crews did a really good job of containing it just to one house. Also, they say that they don't think the house needs to be demolished. It is salvageable. And also earlier this morning, I tweeted a photo of a cat that was hanging out on the porch. It was there for about an hour. And if you go on my Twitter page at CBS6 Carrie Beal, you can see a picture of that cat. Again, we mentioned some animals were missing in this house. And if it's yours and you live in this house, just want to let you know that that cat is okay. Reporting live in Troy, Carrie Beal, CBS6 News.
6:01 and new this morning, a no-fly ban to and from the U.S. and Istanbul Ataturk Airport has been lifted. But additional police officers are now being sent to airports in New York City and New Jersey after terror in Turkey. We're taking a live look at the Ataturk International Airport right now. This is where 3 suicide bombers created a ton of chaos and terror. So far, no group has claimed responsibility, but Turkey's prime minister suspects it was an attack by ISIS. The airport rather is back open this morning. All air traffic has returned to normal. Now, don't be alarmed if you're traveling and you notice some officers with tactical weapons. The Port Authority of New York and New Jersey say officers will be patrolling JFK, LaGuardia, and Newark airports. Officials are continuing to monitor the situation overseas after Turkey's government says at least 36 people are dead and more than 145 others hurt. Leaders across Europe, including NATO Secretary General, condemned the horrific attacks, offering their condolences to the victims and their families. And speaking from Aspen, Secretary of State John Kerry says attacks like these are a sign the militant group is getting weaker.
We have to get it right 24/7, 365. They have to get it right for 10 minutes or 1 hour. If you're desperate and if you know you're losing and you know you want to give up your life, then obviously you can do some harm.
The Istanbul governor confirms 3 suicide bombers fired guns and detonated bombs at the airport. Again, no terror group has claimed responsibility, but Turkish and U.S. officials say signs do point to ISIS.
And you were talking about if anyone out there watching this morning is traveling and they do see upped security at the airports, just know that there's a reason for that. Of course, it's the ripple effect from this.
All right, something we'll stay on top of for you this morning, as well as everything happening out in Troy with Carrie Beal. In the meantime, we also want to get a check of your forecast with meteorologist Craig Gold.
Hey, good morning, Jack. And look who's decided to join us. The sun now coming out. We should see a decent amount of it today, but that's not to say we're going to be completely dry. 64 degrees outside right now. We do expect to see the redevelopment of some showers by about lunchtime and perhaps a couple of heavier downpours, maybe even a rumble of thunder later this afternoon. They'll be widely scattered. Not everybody's going to get them. We do wind up topping out right around 80 degrees. Do we need the umbrellas for July 4th weekend? I'll address that with my latest thoughts on whether or not you can have some good barbecuing and fireworks weather when I come back in a few. Here's check your traffic right now.
All right, Craig, thanks. We're on Route 7 at Miller Road, looking away from Troy, actually. So we're looking toward the west with westbound traffic on the right-hand side. Either way you're going, it looks good out there on Route 7, east and westbound traffic, moving along with no major problems. And we are accident and incident-free across the capital region. That's your CBS 6 Eye on Traffic.
That's what we like to hear, Jack. Thanks. The ballots have been counted, and this morning we have the results of who voters in New York's 19th district have chosen as their party's congressional nominee to succeed Chris Gibson. For the Democrats, it's Zephyr Teachout, who primaried Governor Cuomo in 2014, over Livingston Town Board member Will Yandick. With 95% of the 508 precincts reporting in just after midnight, Teachout had 71% of the vote. Now, as for the Republicans, former Assembly Minority Leader John Faso, who ran unsuccessfully in the past for governor, took home the win against Andrew Heaney with 67% of the vote. Last night, Heaney said that he was grateful for all the support that he got and spoke with Faso over the phone, saying, quote, "We need desperately change in the culture in Washington, and I want to wish John well in his next challenge." Now, there was a voting problem yesterday. It was a bit of a ballot issue that happened in Columbia County. Ballots were given out featuring a third GOP candidate's name, Bob Bishop, who actually dropped out last month. County commissioners say as soon as they got word of the problem, every polling place was informed.
This affects about 800 ballots countywide, which is about 15 to 20 per district. Some districts it's as low as 0. Some districts are slightly higher.
The correct ballots were delivered 2 hours after the polls opened. In a statement last night, Republican candidate Andrew Heaney asked the State Board of Elections to investigate this.
This morning, we now know the name of the 16-year-old killed at Post and Kill Gorge. Police say 16-year-old Connor Reynolds died yesterday when he slipped off a cliff hiking with his friends. When he fell, he hit his head and eventually drowned before first responders could pull him out of the water. Troy police say the gorge has been a popular swimming hole for years, but there is a high risk for accidents.
There's a big spot where we cliff jump, and if you swim too deep or you go under, you get trapped under there. If you go too high up the waterfall, it's really slippery.
Troy police just want to remind visitors of the dangers at Post and Kill Gorge and that swimming and climbing are not allowed.
Happening today, the Red Cross is teaming up with the SUNY Student Assembly to host a blood drive honoring the 49 victims of the Orlando shooting. Melissa Lee is joining us now with the details on this. And Melissa, a little bit more about the message behind today's drive.
Julia, that's right. In the aftermath of the nightclub shooting, when hundreds of people lined up to give blood, some were turned away because of current FDA regulations. Now, those regulations permit some members of the LGBT community from donating blood. Now, the students at SUNY are advocating for a change to that policy. Already, students have passed a resolution calling for blood donation equality. They hope today's blood drive will be a display of dedication and solidarity with the LGBT community.
So you have to be 16 years old with parental permission or 17 years old on your own. You bring a bottle of water and have a good breakfast. Come ready to support the cause and show your support for the LGBT plus community and those in need.
Today's blood drive will be at the UAlbany Campus Center Assembly Hall. It starts at 9 o'clock this morning. It's going to last until 1:30. Stewart Shops, they've teamed up with SUNY Student Assembly, and they're going to hand out coupons to donors for free ice cream. So give blood, then get some ice cream. Free parking also going to be available in the Indian Quad Visitors Lot.
Melissa, thanks. As the water contamination crisis continues to affect local areas, tonight, Vermont's DEC and the Department of Health is holding a meeting in Bennington to give residents an update on what's going on. People in both Bennington and North Bennington are being encouraged to go to this meeting, which will be at Bennington College. The meeting will focus on extending municipal drinking water lines for people whose private wells have been contaminated by PFOA. More than 200 private wells have been found with high levels of this chemical. The state will also give updates on blood test clinics and water sampling results. If you'd like to attend again, the meeting starts 5:30 tonight at Bennington College's Center for the Advancement of Public Action. A quick traffic alert this morning if you're going in the Rotterdam area tonight, because starting at 7 p.m., paving work will begin on a half-mile stretch of Burdeck Street. This specifically is between Mariahville Road and Dwaynesburg Road. The paving will be happening each weeknight from 7 at night to 7 in the morning. During these hours, traffic will be reduced to a single alternating lane. The DOT expects work to finish up in 2 weeks.
Happening tonight, a vigil will be held for Rachel Mattice. She's the 24-year-old who's been missing out of Wells since late last week. Tonight at 7, family and friends will be holding that vigil at 172 Hernandez Road. That's the exact spot where Rachel was last seen. Today, crews will be back out, still looking for any sign of her. Right now, the Hamilton County Sheriff says authorities are questioning friends and acquaintances, trying to figure out any reason for her disappearance.
In New York, legislation regarding rape kit processing is heading to Governor Cuomo's desk. The bill requires police to submit kits containing DNA evidence to labs within 10 days of collecting it. This legislation also requires labs to process evidence within 90 days and calls for clearing any backlog of the evidence kits. Some reports suggest many police precincts have kits on their shelves that could solve crimes and exonerate innocent people.
In Massachusetts, a bill that would let people break car windows to free pets trapped in hot cars is on its way to the House. The bill states the person would first have to see if the door is locked, make an effort to find a police officer or call 911 before they would be legally allowed to break the window as a last resort. Yesterday, the bill was approved unanimously by the Senate.
6:10, another Baltimore police officer about to go before a judge, or will he? The latest twist in the Freddie Gray trials.
And waiting on 911 tapes, the holdup in releasing audio from the Orlando nightclub shooting.
It's more like a painting than a sky cam here. A little bit of ground fog right there. Sun punching through the clouds. We're going to wind up with a fairly okay day, but we're not completely dry. I'll talk about when you may need the umbrellas. And I've got my latest thoughts for you for the upcoming July 4th weekend. Stick around.
All right, taking a look at traffic now. I'm going to bring you out to Waterville East, 787. This is north of exit 7. We are looking to the south. Nice that the sun is out now. We're not looking at too much traffic either. We're currently accident-free. That's your CBS 6 Eye on traffic.
Taking a look at some of the other stories that are topping headlines this morning. Happening overnight in Australia. Multiple cars set on fire outside a mosque in what locals are describing as an act of hate. The wall outside the mosque was also vandalized as hundreds of local Muslims were gathered inside for evening prayers. No one was hurt, but one car was destroyed in the flames.
New details in the trial of accused Charleston church shooter Dylan Roof. A state prosecutor is now asking that trial be held before Roof's federal trial because she argues the state has primary jurisdiction in the case. Currently, Roof's federal trial is set for November, with the state trial to follow in January. Dylan Roof is accused of killing 9 parishioners in a Charleston church.
In Baltimore, the next police officer scheduled to stand trial in the death of Freddie Gray is asking for his case to be dismissed. Lieutenant Brian Rice is the highest-ranking officer facing charges, but he says that there's defects in the prosecution's case. Rice is also asking prosecutors to disclose grand jury minutes and testimony. His trial is set to begin July 5th.
In Washington, the Senate has blocked a bill to fight the Zika virus in the U.S. That bill would have cut funds from other health programs to help develop a vaccine and pay for mosquito control. Democrats opposed the bill, saying it was negotiated between House and Senate Republicans with little input from them. Lawmakers now have just 2 weeks to reach a deal.
This morning, Britain is still dealing with the turmoil of last week's vote to leave the European Union. After Brexit, the influx of foreign investment from China may start to slow down quite noticeably. Now, it's no secret the UK wants to strengthen its ties with China, pulling out all the stops for the state visit of the Chinese president last year. However, Brexit has made that a lot tougher. Britain is currently China's top destination when it comes to investing in Europe. 20% of all Chinese foreign direct investment in Europe goes to the UK, and that is now under threat.
UK were to finally exit, then I think Chinese firms, along with many others in Asia, would have to redeploy some FDI into the rest of Europe.
With its strong financial infrastructure and pro-China politics, the UK offered China a doorway into Europe and a market of 500 million potential consumers. But instead of building on that, China's leaders are now dealing with the fallout from Brexit. China's premier has recently voiced those concerns.
Lawyers for media organizations and attorneys for the City of Orlando and the Department of Justice are fighting over which court should determine whether 911 tapes from the Pulse nightclub shooting can be made public. A hearing that was supposed to take place in Florida court yesterday was suddenly canceled after the DOJ was added into everything. Now, this is because justice officials are now asking for the case to be transferred to federal court. Attorneys for almost 24 media organizations are fighting to keep the case in state court. They argue that the City of Orlando is wrongly withholding recordings of 911 calls and communications between the gunman and the Orlando Police Department. The city claims the recordings, though, are exempt under Florida law because they're part of an ongoing FBI investigation.
In November, voters in California will decide whether to legalize recreational marijuana. The measure asks voters to approve allowing people 21 and older to buy an ounce of marijuana and marijuana-infused products at licensed retail stores. It would also allow people to grow up to 6 pot plants for personal recreational use. State officials say the measure would raise about $1 billion a year in revenue and reduce public safety costs.
6:18 Wednesday morning, and wow, look at that photo. But is that from yesterday afternoon?
Yeah, it's a good one, right? So this one came on my Facebook page. It's from over Saratoga Lake. Cloud-to-ground lightning right there. Had that severe weather pull on through. No threat for any severe weather today, but we're not quite done with the rain. I think we do see some pop-up showers as we get into the afternoon. The sun finally came out about 5-10 minutes ago. We're going to wind up seeing sun here and there, so some sunny breaks here and there, but I do think we see some showers later today. So a few pop-up showers. We're not quite as warm. We're not quite as humid as yesterday. We'll knock the temperatures back by about 5 degrees or so. We're drying out tonight. It'll be nice and comfortable with temperatures falling back into the 50s. And as far as 4th of July weekend is concerned, I think you're going to like the forecast. We'll get to that in just a few. Let's deal with today first. We get you out the door with temperatures in the 60s this morning. Latest check Albany International at 64 degrees. All right, so there was the stronger portion of this storm system heading out to sea. Now we have the upper level lows scooting on by, and this has a lot of cold air up above, and so that sort of makes everything a little bit unsettled, and that will get these individual cells to pop up, these showers that we'll see by about lunchtime and continue on until we finally set the sun. So breaks of sun right now, and then we'll start to see some showers pop up as we work our way to lunchtime. They'll be with us through the majority of the afternoon. They're hit or miss, 30 to 40% chance of getting underneath one of those showers at any given time, and then things quiet down overnight tonight as we go for fair skies and cooler temperatures in the 50s. Notice rain chances drop out altogether for tomorrow. Friday, they're back up as a cold front will approach. We have moisture, we've got heat. We're getting some thunderstorms again on Friday before we finally begin to dry things out as we get you into Saturday. Right on time for the 4th of July weekend. It's looking good. I mean, 81 for Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Mostly sunny skies. The only day that starts out a little cloudy will be Saturday after we see those storms on Friday. All right, high temperatures today. Looks like lower 80s from the capital region down through the mid-Hudson Valley. Should be in the upper 70s, working our way up to the North Country and middle to upper 70s for the higher elevations. Humidity values kind of sticky out there this morning, but as we go into the afternoon, it should be nice and comfortable out there for you. So 7-day forecast, like I said, after another bout of rain on Friday, we clear out perfectly for July 4th weekend. Highs in the low 80s, overnight lows in the 50s. There's your forecast, guys.
Straight 80s, see that?
Yeah, looking ahead to that, not Memorial Day, 4th of July forecast.
Didn't somebody do that yesterday, Memorial?
I don't know.
You did it?
There you go. If you're a fan of breakfast, especially cereal, listen up. We'll tell you why you might want to start planning a trip to Times Square.
Regulating ride-sharing services.
The bill being debated in Massachusetts, and what changes if it passes?
All right, 6:21. As we leave you, we are taking you live. This is the Istanbul skyline. This morning, everything is back open at the Ataturk International Airport following yesterday's terror attack.
3 suicide bombers killed 36 people, injuring more than 145. So far, no group has claimed responsibility, but Turkey's prime minister does think that this could have been ISIS.
We'll continue to follow this story all morning, including when we come back.
6:25 now. Barnes & Noble has a new tool in its fight against competitors. Booze. The bookstore chain will reportedly open 4 stores with restaurants that serve beer and wine. The goal is to get customers in the door and keep them there longer. A new item has been added to the Starbucks secret menu. First, it was the pink drink, then purple, and now the latest creation is the orange drink. It's orange mango juice mixed with 2 scoops of vanilla bean powder and coconut milk. That sounds good. Restaurants across the country are adding all-day breakfast to menus, but one company might be taking it to another level. Kellogg's is opening a cereal restaurant in Times Square. The cafe opens its doors this Friday and will feature dishes made entirely from its cereals. The dishes will run between $6 and $8. All right, back on the bike where Governor Cuomo is suiting up to ride to today. We've got those details. And continuing the search, the endangered sea creature rescue crews are still trying to find.
Several people are displaced after a house fire in Troy. I'm Carrie Beal, and coming up, I'll tell you how bad the damage is.
64 degrees outside right now. We're seeing some breaks of sunshine. A little muggy out there, though. We're not done with the rain just yet. We'll talk about when the best chances for showers will be today and your 4th of July forecast coming up.